Hello you fantastic people and welcome back to Borderlands 3. I hope you guys are all doing well. In this video I've got a little bit of a different one for you guys. This is the top 5 legendary pistols in Borderlands 3 level 65 Mayhem 10 that crush both bossing and mobbing situations. I try to keep it even in consideration of all characters. So for example, Mose has crazy splash damage, so splash weapons are going to be best for her, but I try to keep them as flat out across the board that all of them would be usable, all of them would be great weapons, and all would be must-haves for Mayhem 10 at level 65 builds. This is also including all DLCs that have come out so far and as of the 20th of September 2020. So buffing, scaling, nerfing, all that stuff does happen, but as of right now these are definitely the must-haves across the entire game, base game as well as DLC. I'll also go through where to find them from, as well as any special abilities that are hidden from the item card as well, because there's actually quite a few special bonuses in Borderlands 3 legendaries like that they don't tell you and you have to find out yourself. Let's jump straight into a number 1 place that we're not even going to mess around, because I know you guys likely know what the number 1 place was already going to be. It is the Lightshow from DLC 3. This thing's an absolute monster, a machine at killing bosses, mobbing, doesn't matter the build as well, anointment, it's regardless, it is just pure high fire rate Vladov pistol, crazy high damage, as well as a solid mag size as well. It is essentially a mini Monarch assault rifle built into a pistol, which means you can be super agile while still doing a ton of damage against the melee 1 takedown, guardian takedown, any mobbing situation, any bossing situation. For example, I took it to Grave Ward and it's just straight up disrespectful. It just honestly takes seconds. I tested all these pistols, by the way, with the exact same flak build every time, using Gorillas in the Mist flak as to not use too many ASC elemental damage, action skill and bonuses, anything like that. Tried to keep it as simple as possible, and I was using the exact same class mod as well. So you could actually do a ton more damage than what you're seeing in the clips. I'm just trying to make them comparable for you guys. But yeah, as you guys are probably seeing on screen, you've probably seen it in other videos as well. This thing is an absolute machine, a must-have from a DLC 3. If you haven't had it before, it is a world drop. You can get it anywhere in the DLC 3. I would highly recommend, if you're going for a world drop system, farm the last boss in there called the Ruiner. If you want to go for the dedicated drop, I believe the guy's name is Lazadactyl. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'll put it on the screen for you guys. You can farm that one from the Obsidian Forest in DLC 3. He's a crew challenge boss in there that you can farm. Pretty simple, pretty close to the New Station if you want to farm for this one. In second place, we have the Hellshock pistol tied with the Beacon. I want to combine these two together because they're extremely similar pistols and do extremely similar amounts of damage, and they're both kind of amazing and pretty much on the same level. Let's be real. If we try to choose between one or the other, they're just going to sit in second and third place together anyway, so I combine them together. The Hellshock pistol is a base game item and is absolutely amazing. I would highly recommend you guys getting this one. It is super high damage, super high fire rate, has a little bit of a charge time at the start because it is a melee 1 pistol. You can get charge time on your class mod if you want to make that pretty much 0 time at all. Otherwise, you get pretty used to using it. It takes, 1 second or so. I'm not exactly sure of the time, but it's not too long of a charge time. It's amazing for bossing. Against Grave Ward, he doesn't stand a chance. For mobbing situations as well, it's really good room clearer, and it has a cool ability. It does come with a fire and shock elemental lock, as most melee 1 weapons do. They have 2 elemental types you can switch between for alternate firing modes. This thing has that, but you can actually shoot this thing at the ground and it will ricochet bullets off the ground or off the walls, etc. And every time it ricochets, for example, if you're shooting shock at the ground, it'll actually bounce up as fire damage. So if you guys want to, if you get used to using enough, essentially you could rip through an enemy's shield with the shock, then aim at the ground, bounce the fire back off, and without even having to change the modes, you can rip through the enemy's health and shields together without changing, without stopping firing, and be super efficient against those enemies. This thing is absolutely crazy. I ran it through Athena's melee 1 takedown. It's been in all of my builds I posted in the last week or two, and I would highly recommend you guys checking it out. You can get the Hellshock from the world drop system. If you guys want to know the top 3 best world drop system farms in the base game, I did make a video on that a few days ago. Rather than repeating the same info, I'll leave it linked in the description, or I have at the end card title screen thing if you guys want to check out that for yourselves. As for the dedicated drop, that one did actually get changed with one of the recent patches. It no longer drops at Gigamind as the dedicated. It's actually a boss in the Splinterlands. I did make a video on that as well. I'll link it in the description. I'll have the name on screen. I actually have no idea how to pronounce it, but if you guys know the boss off the top of your head, then that is the boss. Otherwise, check out that video if you'd like a guide as well. As for the beacon, this thing is essentially a DLC 3 upgraded version of the base game Hellshock. This thing comes with all elemental types, only 2 at a time though, but I believe you can roll any 2 together, except of course non-elemental does not come with this thing. We happen to get fire and shock on this as well. As you can see, the base damage only comes with 1 pellet. You can actually roll 2, and I would recommend getting that if you're going for a better one than what I have. It does roll with higher base damage if you get a ×2 pellet one, and this one is a much lower mag size, hence it doesn't keep up quite with the Hellshock that I have, so it's a little hard to compare them for you guys in the clips, but they are pretty much on par with each other at maximum damage. In the mobbing situations, the beacon, as you may have seen on the card, this thing upon reloading triggers a nova of the current element. Now when this thing was released, the nova was actually ridiculous. It exploded everything that was even remotely close to you and was absolutely amazing. I must have missed when they nerfed that because it doesn't do that crazy damage anymore, unfortunately. Against a random melee 1 troop guy, if he's on just his health, maybe it takes out about a quarter, maximum a half if you're practically hugging him. It's not really worth it anymore. I mean, it is free damage, I'll take it, but it's not like it's going to finish off many enemies unless they were pretty much there anyway. If you guys want to obtain the beacon, it is in the world drop system of DLC 3 also. The world drop boss I would recommend for anything in DLC 3 is the Ruiner. He drops the most world drops out of anyone. But if you guys want to farm the dedicated drop for it, it is Jarek Logan. He's a crew challenge boss in Bloodstone Canyon. Moving on to the 3rd place, this is the prompt critical from DLC 4, and I'm actually going to share this one's place as well with the Uncapped Turret from DLC 3. I know they're not exactly the same, they do different things, but they are both Torg pistols that do about the same amount of damage and both a ton of fun to use. So I'd recommend you guys getting both of these, or at least minimum one. They are a really great weapon to have on any build. The prompt critical is brand new from DLC 4. It is in the world drop system, but if you guys want to farm for this one yourself from the dedicated drop, you can get this one from Evil Lilith in Castle Crimson. The drop rates aren't great though, just a heads up. This thing comes with ×3 pellets and ×4 pellets, just like the Uncapped Turret, but I would recommend getting only the ×3 for both, because it doesn't actually spawn extra pellets when you get the ×4. They spawn the exact same amount every time, and you can actually roll higher base damage rolls with the ×3s for both guns. I don't know if that's on purpose or just some kind of weird coding glitch, I don't know, but regardless, go for ×3 on both. The prompt critical beats the Uncapped Turret in mobbing situations, at least in my opinion. When you're using the sticky mode, if you stick enemies close to other enemies, let those stickies explode by reloading or switching weapons, whatever you want to do. The explosion radius is huge and the explosion damage is way more than the original pellet. This thing is kind of ridiculous. For example, it says on the bottom of the item card, subsequent stuck cryojets combine, increasing the damage and radius of the detonation. That radius is ridiculously high. In Athenas, if you have anyone standing next to each other, you generally shoot the smaller guy and it'll blow up everything close to it. Even if it's a mech, it'll blow up the bigger guys, even if you're just going for the small melee 1 troops. As for bossing situations, the prompt critical isn't as amazing in those situations. I think either it's bugged or I don't know if it's intentional, but the sticky mode really doesn't do that much damage against individual targets, bosses, etc. The radius just really doesn't do much against them. So against Graveward, go impact mode, and it does a solid amount of damage. There are better choices, but this thing is mostly a mobbing weapon. As for the Uncapped Turret, I kind of just added this one on here with the prompt critical because I think they're both amazing weapons, which I would highly recommend you guys getting. But one huge point about the Uncapped Turret is it is extremely hard to obtain a good one. If you get a trashy non-elemental, it really doesn't do that much damage. This one, for example, is a 13 × 3. The highest damage I've seen it come up to is 21,000 × 3. Please let me know if you guys have found more than that. I would love to know, and I'm sure other people would as well. But you guys can get a much higher variant than the one you guys are seeing on screen now with the anointments. It just takes a long time to farm them. Like I said, it's a DLC 3 boss if you guys want to farm it. It is in the world drop system as well, but if you guys want to go for the dedicated drop, you're going to have to farm Caber Dowd, crew challenge boss in Bloodstone Canyon as well. He's a very easy boss, a very easy farm. It just takes a long time to get the good rolls for this guy. And in 4th place, we have the Dustedly Maggie. This thing is absolutely amazing and has been in multiple Borderlands games, and this thing is a mobbing machine. does well in bossing as well, but mobbing, it is absolutely crazy. You get your action skill cooldown back really quick, you get a ton of critical hits, you get multiple pellets, which is great for flak mains as well, super high fire rate, decent mag size, and this thing isn't actually at its full damage at the moment. Apparently the Jacob's weapons originally had a buff, and then when the Hellwalker got buffed, those original Jacob's weapons buff got bugged and it's actually back down to where they originally were. So regardless, this pistol is amazing, but if it's going to get buffed even more, it honestly could even move up in the list again, because this thing is already really good in where it's at in the game. Against Graveward, it did a solid amount of work considering it is primarily a mobbing weapon, and then when you take it to Athena's melee 1 takedown, etc., it just destroys those poor melee 1 souls. If you guys want to farm for the Maggie for yourselves, it is in the base game world drop system, so you can get it from any lootable source in base game. But if you guys want to go for the dedicated drop, it did actually move recently from the Cistern of Slaughter to Turnkey Tim in Floodmore Basin. If you guys don't know what that boss is from the top of your head, it is actually a recently new boss added to the game, or recently added to respawn in the game. I made a guide on it in the description if you guys want to check it out, or just check it out on the channel. And in 5th place, it is the one and only King/Queen's Call. This thing is an absolute monster in bossing situations. In mobbing situations, it's actually overkill. It is really hard to use. You have to be extremely accurate if you want to use mobbing situations. If you're flak, you have absolutely zero problem. You just go and fade away and just hit the enemies and it's totally fine. Everyone gets annihilated. But if you guys are other characters, I have seen multiple other builds that you use it, but you do have to be extremely accurate with hitting those crits. So maybe use Galaxy Brain if you guys are struggling with that. But this thing, absolute monster from base game. At the very start when the game launched, this thing was undoubtedly one of the best weapons in the entire game, like top 3, destroyed every boss. They did nerf it at the start to a more balanced, in huge quotation marks, stage. This thing still wrecks, but definitely isn't broken by any means. It does also roll in huge damage variances, unfortunately. Like most weapons at Mayhem 10, keep an eye out for those damage rolls. I believe this one goes between 15 or 14k to up to 18.5, so try and get the highest one you can. The King's Call that I've managed to get so far, I've actually been farming this thing like crazy to try and get a good roll. It drops from only Tyrene, by the way. It's not in the world drop system. Don't let anybody tell you it drops from Troy. I guarantee you it doesn't. I've farmed that guy 2,000, 3,000 times. It doesn't drop from him. It's just Tyrene the Destroyer from base game, the final boss. It also has a really amazing ability: critical hits, return 3 bullets to your magazine, and ricochet 3 bullets at the nearest enemy. First of all, ricocheting 3 bullets to the nearest enemy is an amazing mobbing ability if you can hit those criticals to make that happen. The mag size is 6 and consumes 3 ammo per shot, so hitting critical hits is really crucial for this gun to get bullets back in the mag to stop you from reloading all the time. And an extra fun little perk thing that's in the gun that's not actually on the item card, so you don't actually know it until you use it, and I actually had used it for months without knowing this. You actually get 3% health back into your system per second, or per crit, sorry, when hitting a critical hit. The animation on this gun is my favorite out of any gun in the entire game. You guys have probably already seen it, or I'm showing it on screen. It's just so much fun using it. It's so good to look at. It's just awesome. I would highly recommend you guys checking this gun out. If you haven't got it before, or you haven't tried it in a while, go back, go find yourselves a really good one. It is difficult to get those really good rolls, but if you get it, it is so much fun farming bosses with this thing. But yeah, those are the top 5, kind of top 7 actually, best legendary pistols in the game for Mayhem 10, level 65, which I think all of you guys need to check out for all of your builds for any character. If you guys have a different list, I'm sure most of you guys do. I'd love to hear them in the comment section down below. Let me know what build you guys are rocking, what bolt hunter you're rocking. I'm sure Mo's will have a little bit of a different list based on splash damage, maybe Amara with more elemental weapons, but I try to be as even as I could across the board for you guys. Let me know if you guys did enjoy the video. Feel free to smash subscribe if you did. If you haven't already, hit that bell. YouTube will notify you whenever I post a video. If you guys could help me out even more, you can smash the like button down below. If you guys want to check us out over on Twitch, I live stream every day just after I post my YouTube videos. That's linked down below, or just search Code McQ on Twitch. We usually hang out, make builds, find cool buffed weapons, just have a good time with chat. Other than that, hope you guys have a fantastic day. I shall see you guys next video and a live stream. Till then, adios.